I'm Saul Reisman here at Saul's Automotive, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Nissan products, most specifically their transmissions. Nissan motor vehicles have been pretty crossbred engineered for the past 20 years. Whether it be a Sentra, an Altima, a Maxima, a Rogue, a Moreno, they all share the same frame, motor, transmission options, and are essentially the same vehicle wearing a different face. Recently, Nissan changed their design. In an effort to get higher efficiency, fuel economy out of these vehicles, they went to what we call a CVT, or constantly variable transmission. What this means is, rather than an old school automatic transmission like you and I are used to, that has 4, 5, 6 actual gears, where you feel the vehicle accelerate in a gear and then shift down, accelerate and then shift accordingly, a CVT operates on a very different principle. Rather than having mechanical gears and hydraulic actuators known as solenoids to move them back and forth inside the transmission, essentially making an automatic, literally a computerized manual transmission, Nissan said they're going to produce a constantly variable transmission so that it allows the engine to operate at its peak efficiency, so that that horsepower and torque curve is right at the peak the whole time when it's making the most power, and at the same time allow that to be transferred to the ground at exactly that speed. To do this, they took two variators. A variator is essentially an hourglass turned on its side. Instead of having a curved shape, we'll lay that onto its side and we'd have two of them side by side. Now, a belt is placed between them, and these two variators actually move side to side to adjust this belt. We're looking from one aspect and we have these two variators in front of us. If the belt's right in the middle between them, it's at the skinniest point to the skinniest point. The motor is providing direct one-to-one power. At the same time, if the variator nearest the motor moves that belt to the large end of it, now the motor is spinning significantly more than the small end of the other side of it. This is essentially an overdrive for freeway speed. At the same time, it can shift the rear variator, leaving the front one on the smallest gear set and moving the rear to the largest, essentially giving it a low gear, making the engine spin many times faster than the tires would accordingly. Now, this is efficient. This does get better fuel economy. This also is a very poor engineering design and is something that fails every day. Nissan started implementing this in 2008. Prior to 2008 model years, we here at Saul's Automotive have never had to replace a Nissan transmission. Since 2008 and up model years, we've replaced 245 of them here in the past 5 years. The issue being these CVT, or constantly variable transmissions. The detriment of them is they build heat. Now, the definition of power coming in, power going out, and friction in between means heat will, of course, be generated. We think of a rubber belt and fluid inside as common replacement or serviceable parts. Nissan does not. Nissan produces these as a non-serviceable, non-repairable unit. The housings are made out of magnesium, meaning if there's damage done to the actual shell by internal components moving around or failing, the shell is no longer reusable or rebuildable. Additionally, Nissan produced these with all proprietary parts. There is literally no way to rebuild this transmission. You cannot go down to your local AMCO or the like and say take it and rebuild it like you would be for any other vehicle in the past 30 years. Instead, you have one option: to go to the dealership and buy a brand new one and write a check. And they're more than happy to sell you one because they know the expense and the cost associated with the repair. From our end, a mechanical job on these repairs is anywhere from a 10 to 15 hour labor job depending on the vehicle. However, that CVT unit itself can cost between $3,000 and $5,000 depending on the application it's in. Many Nissan vehicles don't hold their value very well over the 5 to 10 year mark, and by the time they come in with these failed CVT transmissions, are not worth putting in the money and the financial investment to repair. Oftentimes, many of these owners are still making payments on these vehicles as these are relatively new vehicles in the model segment. This leaves an owner with a very hard predicament. They're stuck with making a payment on a vehicle that does not run and or making a major reinvestment into a vehicle that needs some serious repairs. Here at Saul's Automotive, we take a pretty active stance against Nissan CVTs. We make sure that we check them in every aspect and every condition when they come in, and we actually take depth readings of the fluid density each time so that we can ensure the longevity and predictability of the service in years. Because these are a wear item, They are designed to wear out, and they will wear and fail. We try to make sure that we keep you entirely aware through the entire process so that you can accurately predict when that repair will be and know for years to come so that you can best be prepared and stay on the road for as long as possible. In the case of this Nissan product, we're simply looking at one of the many CVT issues that Nissan presented with it today. If you have a Nissan product, specifically one of a newer model year, please feel free to stop by Saul's Automotive at any point. We offer this as a free inspection service because we hate to see the look on people's faces when they find out that the transmission can't be repaired. We'd rather know years ahead of time so that we can both prepare and have a game plan to keep you reliable and on the road. Please give us a call here at Saul's Automotive at 303-919-7769.